Question 4 of the evaluation. How did you use media technologies in the construction and research, planning and evaluation stages? So throughout our advanced portfolio, I've used a broad range of media technologies during each stage, and that was one of the main focuses to really try and use a variety, especially the way now I've been through the foundation portfolio and I used minimal technologies, but now I really want to show how far I've come over the journey as being a media practitioner. So just see how my skills develop using different technologies. So for the research and planning, this was quite evident for because I was doing a lot of analysis, especially of which consisted of analysing trailers, posters and magazines in high depth. So this allowed me to completely understand the range of codes and conventions that are used throughout the media package. So I could really understand the subgenre of horror I chose. As well, so by researching conventional trailers, I was able to determine which ones are necessary to put in our specific trailer and that belong to a slasher, because there's no point putting a convention that belongs to supernatural when you're trying to do a slasher, because it will confuse your target audience because they know the conventions of the genre. So when researching, YouTube was an extremely helpful resource, as it has a large database of millions of videos for us to pick from, and especially it allowed us access from the wide variety of trailers, from like your blockbuster horrors to your more sort of independent horrors, which are done on very minimal budget. So you can go from, I know from the start we sort of looked at the Friday 13th trailer, and then I also, when I was looking in my research plan, the initial sort of short film of Saw, so what triggered the production of the actual full movie, which was made on an extremely small budget. So, but however, one disadvantage with YouTube is that the restrictions that we had at school. So some videos wouldn't allow access to it because they weren't sort of allowed on the school database. So that really didn't help, especially trying to work in school on the research and planning. So it was very irritating, and it occurred quite a lot. So this meant we had to do our research outside of school hours. But however, on the other hand, the advantage was that it gave so much sort of opportunity to see so many different varieties of trailers, and it really helps us be able to get tons of examples to help us improve our own trailer. So conforming to conventions was not overly difficult for us because we found it hard not to break boundaries, as we didn't want to go too outside of the box of the conventions. We wanted to have the typical conventions such as narrative, using Todorov's narrative structure, and sort of using props character types as well, so it was very recognisable and conventional. But we wanted to make ours original, so we did include original ideas. So from YouTube, we used many audio playlists, so they were extremely helpful in the process of trying to find some sound for our trailer. So especially on there was people, because you're able to create a playlist of videos, some people created some for horror sounds, and especially I know as a group we came across a file named Actors. This seemed very broad at first, but it was perfect for including non-diegetic sound, such as screams or gasps, which really helped because it was quite hard, especially like filming on a high quality camera with microphones. It's sort of not the best to pick up the sound. Then another technology we used, which we used as well in the foundation portfolio, was Blogger. But now, being in year 13, we've advanced our skills so much on it, because we've got to know the software, and we're now able to sort of design the design we want, put images on the background. I know in mine I've got a GIF as my background, and that's constantly moving, so it makes it much more interactive and more aesthetically pleasing. So, of course, though, it has got some advantages and disadvantages, but over the 2 years, we've gotten to the stage where I'm now extremely confident with using Blogger, and it's a really helpful thing, and it makes me want to possibly create my own blog on something, but using the software. It was very simple to use. So, but with Blogger, because sometimes you weren't able to directly upload things, I used SlideShare in order to upload these files. So once uploaded, it was very easy. Just got an embedded link and pasted that into the Blogger, which really helped upload it there. As I've already said, Blogger is extremely aesthetically pleasing way to present all our sort of ideas from the portfolio. So it really helps, and it was very easy to navigate, and it made it very easy for the person viewing the blog to look at what I have, everything I've covered. Also, it's very easy to be accessed. You just need to search A2 horror blog, and you can find one like that, and it really requires a basic level of knowledge to use, and it's very simple. One thing looking at it was when uploading, it was very easy to sort of change the date and times of things uploaded. This was like really helpful trying to get the correct order of the blog, so really make sure everything was right easy, because then it saves having to delete everything off the blog and then upload it one by one in order, whereas you could everything's still uploading, you just have to change the date, which is very easy. So when constructing my final media pieces, I used various technologies, mainly focused on Photoshop for the poster. Photoshop was a software which I came to terms with during AS level. I've never really used it. I've used it here and there in art, but I wouldn't have said I was an expert and able to really use it. And in the AS level, I managed to sort of advance my skills further. But being in that year 13, I've managed to go that next step and use much more skills. And it was very helpful in our group. Ollie, he does photography, so he has a vast knowledge of Photoshop. So we did have a problem, we can go and ask him, and he'd be able to sort of show me how to do it, and it was very easy. So one tool I did use very frequently was the burn tool. So it was to darken areas and make things look more eerie. And being a horror sort of poster, the conventions are that it is dark, so you'd expect to see it, and it was able to, especially with some images, they were quite bright, especially with the costume, it was able to just use that to darken it and make it look more eerie and more mysterious, and make it much more threatening. So also Photoshop allowed me to modify images and create visual effects in order to abide by conventions, and for the magazine poster and the teaser poster, it fit in with a common conventional structure, as it allowed us to add extra blood and add some mist and make it everything look much more eerie, and change the brightness of certain things, which really helped. So one thing I did find extremely difficult for Photoshop, it was to navigate around and to find the tools. It takes a while to get used to, and especially probably because I had that period where sort of the transition where you've got the summer holidays from AS to A2. Of course, I don't have Photoshop at home, so I'm not always using it, so it took a while to get used to each tool just to find out where it is, and especially up the top, looking to change brightness and levels, etc. So that was one thing that is a negative of it. But before creating the poster, we had a vision that what it would look like, especially creating mock-ups of them. It allowed us to really follow what we wanted to do. And if we had a problem when we were on Photoshop, we were able to go onto YouTube and Google to find any sort of tutorials which would really help us. I know, because Ollie doesn't know everything, so we couldn't always go to him, but that gave us an option to, if we wanted to say, I looked into, because originally for the first draft of the teaser poster we had a wooded area and getting a mist, and have the sort of trying to imitate similar thing to the Friday 13th poster. But I looked at a YouTube tutorial, and that really helped me. But in the end, we changed the idea and made it to what it is now. Also, for especially more in sort of getting feedback, we use social network sites such as Twitter and Instagram, who have millions of users and who can search stuff very easily and easy to find things and get responses from. When we were considering what social media we used, we ruled out Facebook quite from the start, as it's more of a promotional site, because most of our target audience don't really use Facebook now. It's sort of dying effectively. So, and many of them primarily use Instagram or Twitter, so it was much more easier to reach the target audience we wanted. As well, sort of Instagram and Twitter allowed us to ask questions about our media product and allowed us to get the target audience opinion on them. And it was really vital in getting their feedback to help us develop, especially like how the trailer's going and what they want in the poster, because they're the target audience. They know what they want, so it made it much more easier. And then Twitter was probably was a more useful resource, as we were able to reach a bigger audience and publicise out our trailer to a further extent, and it made it really accessible to to get it out there, and sort of anyone could see it. Another sort of for two ways I was presenting my ideas in the research and planning was Prezi and Maze. These are two promotional softwares, which presentational software, that I use quite a lot. So Prezi would probably be my preferred choice out of the two. It's very easy to use, and you can follow many templates which basically give you where they are. All you have to put in your text, your images, your videos, etc. On the other hand, Amaze is pretty much like PowerPoint with a few added features, and it's much more it's more interaction than what a normal sort of presentation PowerPoint would be. So it allows you to, it was easier to put videos, GIFs and images in, and it made it really, it had the transitions so you didn't have to animate it yourself, so it was much more neat. It was a really good way for the viewers to interact with the research and planning. And however, Prezi is more visual, stimulating and enjoyable for the audience due to the way it moves around the screen and transitions from each piece to piece so neatly. Going back to YouTube, it was a useful tool when uploading the videos. So especially for the trailer, you need to put it somewhere. You can't just upload it from the software we're using. So we managed to do that. And it was really good as well for the focus group and pitch. And when we were analysing the piece of the work, it was really easy to access the videos. And it was able to, you can go back, pause it, listen to what they say, write it down, pause down, just to really be able to get that proper feedback, especially in the early stages of our ideas. It was really key to be able to sort of know what they wanted. Then another technology we used was a Canon 700D camera. So of course the camera was for the photo shoot and the film, so it was able to shoot our movie in high quality images, and also kept sound intact. Obviously, if we were creating a professional movie, we would have had microphones and sound booms for the actors, but due to the lack of resources as a student and not having much money, we had to use mobile phones and the camera itself to record sound, of course. So we implemented sounds during our post-production, but dialogue and some other diegetic sounds cannot be recreated, so we managed to find ways to get around that. So I know when we were filming some of the equilibrium scenes, the camera wasn't really picking up any of the sounds, so Scarlett had her phone in her pocket recording the dialogue, and we managed to edit that so it looked like it was happening. So in our group, we all have qualities which combined and allow us to express our skills and create a creative and conventional media package. So especially with one member of our group, Ollie, being extremely good with a camera because he does photography, it made sense for him to take control of that sort of side, and it was really useful during this filming stages, as he knew how a camera worked. Because I know personally, I know you press that button, that'll take the picture, that's it, but he knew how to get turn the brightness down and make sure it was all in focus. And also when filming, we found out the iPhone 7, which Scarlett had, was waterproof, so especially from the early sort of questionnaire, we asked people what their fears were, and we wanted to incorporate this bit more. And a lot of people said that drowning and death was very sort of scary. So we were able to sort of create a sort of drowning scene where we had Scarlett, one of the victims, being sort of waterboarded and her having her face shoved into like a load of water, making like she was being drowned and tortured. So it was a really good way to sort of incorporate the target audience fears. And then when filming, lighting seemed to be a massive issue which the other groups have. I know we sort of were filming a bit later than the other groups, and like looking at their early footage, the lighting wasn't there. So we sort of set a budget and brought 2 cheap softboxes in order to light our sets up. So this was a brilliant idea, and it was definitely brought out our media production and made it much more sort of a professional quality. It was little attention to detail aspects, such as like hopefully creating an effective and high quality trailer and making it look much more better. And especially the lights that we purchased were not very expensive due to our budget. Of course, we can't go out and spend like thousands of pounds on softbox, but they were able to produce a certain brightness which helped, and obviously was not useful during dimly lit scenes, but we quickly overcame this by using a sheet over the softbox, and this also created a eerie sort of shadows over the actors, making it even more scary and sort of just giving that sort of scary horror vibe you'd sort of get. So overall, I've sort of, if you're looking at from my foundation portfolio to my advanced portfolio, I've used so many more technologies this year than I did last year, and I'm feeling really extremely confident with them, especially with my advancing in Photoshop and learning how to properly use a camera with a little bit of help from Ollie. It's really helped me, and I've definitely come in my journey as a media practitioner. I've really advanced myself. So that's it.